Hey everyone, Ace of Clay here, and welcome to another video. This one is very special because it's my first ever YouTube collab, and it's with none other than Jackie from NERDECRAFTER. I was so excited when she reached out. I couldn't believe it, and it's all because of you guys. You were commenting on our videos, letting us know that you want to see a collab between us, and we did it. So you really brought us together, so thank you very much for that. If you aren't familiar with NERDECRAFTER, she is of course a crafter that does pretty much everything. She reviews craft kits, she sculpts, she paints, she works with resin, she does it all. She is so entertaining, and I've been watching her videos for a while now, and I really enjoy her sense of humor, her editing style, everything. Her videos make me forget the world, and she was actually one of the inspirations behind me starting my own YouTube channel. So if you didn't know that, now you do. Alright, so back to business here. Jackie has a series on her channel called Comment to Art, where she takes a comment from a subscriber describing a creature they made up, and she turns it into a sculpture. In our case, for this collaboration, I described a creature to her, and she described a creature to me. And then we got you all involved by asking you to bring to life your interpretations of the descriptions. So be sure to stick around until the end of the video, where I will be displaying all of the submissions I received of NERDECRAFTER's description. Be sure to head over to her channel after you watch this video to see her bring my description to life. She's also linked below, of course. Alright, now here's what I have to work with.
Hello Ace of Clay subscribers, I'm Jackie from the channel NERDECRAFTER. I'm going to show you a drawing of what my comment is supposed to look like, at least in my head. You have to forgive me, I'm not really good at drawing, nor sculpting. Why do I have a craft channel? So here's what my creature is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be able to swim in really tough currents, but at the same time, it's a desert creature. I'm really excited to see how close we're going to get to each other's comments. I'll see you on the other side.
Alright, that sounds good. A little intimidated, not gonna lie, but let's get started. Okay, so yeah, I was intimidated with NERDECRAFTER's description. I just could not picture how this thing was going to look. And then quick note here, all of the materials that I use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you'd like to purchase anything. Alright, now as you can see here, I did not create any wire armature for this guy. I just shaped out the entire body in aluminum foil because I'm going to poke all of its limbs in later on. And then I just attached the head with some masking tape, and now I'm covering the entire thing in Super Sculpey. Bet you didn't see that coming. And then to get these nice, thin, even sheets of clay, I just rolled it through my pasta machine on the thickest setting. And then once I have my base layer of clay down, I'm going in with larger pieces of clay to fill in any dents and discrepancies on the surface. And then seeing how this thing is evolving, I started to envision it as a slug sort of creature, maybe even a tadpole with a long tail, because NERDECRAFTER made no mention of any legs, just arms. And as I continued sculpting, I started to think of metamorphosis, because in her description she says the creature is land-dwelling but spends most of the day in the water until it comes out at night. And of course I didn't want to go with my immediate instinct of giving it a snake tail because, well, after making Medusa's tail in my last video, I needed a break. Alright, now after poking a hole all the way through the side with one of my bamboo skewers, I'm inserting some 12 gauge aluminum wire to create the arms. Once this is in and positioned how I like, I'm going to bulk out each arm to make them pretty large, like NERDECRAFTER mentioned, to help this creature swim through those tough currents. And then to secure the foil, of course, I'm using masking tape. Once the arms are a good size, it's time to cover them in clay. Now it's time to smooth everything out and get these arms shaped exactly how I want them to be, adding more clay here and there to get a nice smooth, even surface that is ready for the next set of details. And at this point, I'm starting to get a much better idea of how this thing is going to look when it's done. Now it's time to make the fingers. To do these, I'm just poking in some toothpicks for the armature and trimming them to size. Then I'm covering them in clay and blending them in with the rest of the arm. The end of the arm here is going to turn into part of the hand once all the fingers are on and blend it in. And I love how these hands are turning out. They are very amphibian-like, very aquatic, perfect for swimming. Now I'm repeating the same process on the other hand. now just finishing off the hands here with my firm rubber tool and fingers. And now it's time to do the webbing. This was a lot of fun to do just because it went so smoothly, and I love when that happens. I'm just using my firm rubber tool and ball stylus here to blend everything together and finishing them off. Finishing off that hand, and that's looking pretty good. Now to add some more detail to the arms, I'm creating these thick ridges that sort of enhance the aquatic look that I'm going for. To blend everything together, I'm just using my firm rubber tool and ball stylus to get everything looking how I want. I don't really pick up my spoon tool that much with this guy, which is weird because I always use that thing. Once it's done, it's time to create the horns. In NERDECRAFTER's description, she says it has 2 ram-like horns. And then I don't know what I was thinking when I was making these, but I'm wrapping wire around a skewer and trying to put it in. Obviously that's not working.
In the trash!
So back to a better method, I'm just using a piece of aluminum wire, bulking it out with aluminum foil into the shape of some ram horns, not to be confused with the restaurant. And then once those are looking pretty good, which they are, I think, now it's time to add some clay to them and attach them to the top of my creature's head. And I want to get the horns as perfect as possible before I put them on the head, just because once they're attached, it's going to be a little tricky to maneuver around them. So this is just making it a little easier for me in the long run. Then really quick, before I stick the horns in, I'm filling the holes with some Bacon Bond and doing that, and that's looking pretty good. Again, now I need to blend the end of the horn in with the head. Fidget with things a little bit, make sure everything is how I want. And then after I add the horns, of course, I come up with the idea to put ridges on them just to make them a little more interesting. So I make the ridges, and it was a little tricky to do just because they were attached to the head and I couldn't get underneath it, and it was weird, but whatever, it worked and they look cool, so I'm happy. Once the ridges are done, I'm going to attach a little piece of flesh at the base of each horn where they're growing out of the skull. Just shaping that out, blending it in, and that really finished off the horns. And then after a little more nitpicking, since NERDECRAFTER's description says this creature slithers around at night after coming out of the water, I'm going to add some large overlapping scales to its chest like scutes on a snake. This is going to help it do that slithering. Just building those up almost to its face and then doing a little bit more smoothing. Then I take a quick detour here to try and visualize what its mouth and teeth are going to look like with a couple rough pieces of clay. After doing that, according to NERDECRAFTER's description, the creature has a fairly flat face. That word fairly tells me that it is almost flat, but not completely. So I'm going to build it up in the middle just a little bit and then bring it to a peak. This is going to make the face a little more interesting. Now I'm shaping out the bottom jaw. According to NERDECRAFTER, again, this creature has a large underbite with 2 large teeth opposing the top canines. So I'm creating that underbite here, and when I initially started to picture the face, the first thing I thought of was to pre-bake some translucent clay teeth and stick them in. But I really wanted to do something different, so I decided to make the teeth an extension of the flesh on the face. But before I finish the teeth, I want to get to the eyes first. In NERDECRAFTER's description, she says the creature has 4 small orange eyes with vertical black slits for irises. Here I used my large ball stylus to make indents for the first 2. The eyes are pre-painted cabochons. I added a small piece of clay before putting these on just to make sure there isn't any air behind them. To create the eyes themselves, I pre-painted the backs of the cabochons, starting with the iris, waiting for it to completely dry before painting over the entire back with orange metallic acrylic paint. That was a lot. And then, instead of making all of the eyes the same size, I decided to make 2 large, but still small, eyes for the far sides of its face, and then have 2 smaller eyes towards the front. This created a cool look, and I was really happy with it. Like, look at how that shines. Alright, now back to those teeth for a second here. I am starting to work on those, and then I realized that I need to finish the eyes before I put the bottom canines in, so I'm just adding some eyelids here to the bottom of each eye, just with a small snake of clay that tapers at each end, and then blending that in with the rest of the face. It's just a nice little detail that I think gives this little guy a little more personality. Like he's glaring at you, plotting an attack. Now I'm just adding some more details to the top of the face here, adding a couple bumps on top of each eye, blending everything in with my firm rubber tools, some color shapers. Now it's time to do the teeth. So I'm adding those lower canines here, and I want to maintain the look of an underbite like NERDECRAFTER said, but kind of give it my own spin. So like I said earlier, the teeth are an extension of the flesh on the face. So here I am, like I said, adding the canines and then some smaller teeth in between them. And then I'm using my small ball stylus, some color shapers, firm rubber tools, and my Dental Explorer tool to finish those off. Now it's time to create the ears. According to NERDECRAFTER's description, this creature has 2 downward slanting ears on either side of its head. Now it was a little tricky trying to get these to be a size that worked because I was so happy with how this thing was looking. I really didn't want these ears to take away from anything. But anyway, to make them, I formed their shape with a thin piece of aluminum foil and then covered that with a thin piece of clay. I want to get them completely shaped out before I add them to the head. And then to attach them, I just stuck them on and blended the base in with the head, and it worked. Now after reaching this point, I've officially decided that I want this thing's lower body to be like a slug. So I'm adding a flat snake of clay to the edge of each side and blending the top in with the body or foot to create the foot fringe. These are technical names for these parts of a slug. I did my research, can you tell? I'm just flaring them out here and there to enhance this effect. And now it's time to add some spikes. According to NERDECRAFTER's description, this creature has 7 spikes on its neck. Now, given the composition of my sculpture, it doesn't really have a neck, and I don't want these spikes to look like an afterthought, so I'm going to make them start at the neck and then go down its back, or mantle in slug terms. And after making indents for the spikes with my ball stylus, I'm just shaping them out of some white Primo and attaching them with Bacon Bond. I only do 6 at first because apparently I can't read, but I do go in after I bake this and add the 7th one. And then just to add some final details here, as you can see, I'm adding some random bumps all over the place, and I think these really finished him off. And then to remove fingerprints, I'm brushing the entire surface with some clay softener. Whoa, totally forgot what that was called. Now he's ready to bake. And then out of the oven after he's completely cooled down and after I add that 7th spike, it's time to paint it. And I'm really excited because NERDECRAFTER did not specify any colors and said they were completely up to me. So we are going to go in with a nice earthy palette, and I want to keep it dark because it's a creature of the night. And to paint this, I'm using watered down acrylics. I used black, brown, yellow, and green to get the color here. I'm just going over the entire surface to give it a nice even base tone. I want to maintain the translucency of the clay in some areas, so I'm being very careful not to be too heavy-handed. And then to speed up the drying process here, I'm just going in with my blow dryer. Now it's time for another layer. With every coat, I want to get a little bit deeper. I want the color to be darkest in the middle of the body, the top of the arms, ears, and head, and then I want that to fade out into that translucent first coat we put on. And I'm just working here to build up that color, slowly but surely. Little unsure of myself while I'm doing this, but it ends up working out. Getting even darker here. You can really see that green starting to come out. Now I'm getting even darker. To make this color darker, I just added some black to it along with some more green. And then while I'm adding the dark color, I go in with the light color again just to blend the edges in a little bit better. Now we're finishing off the arms. Now for one of the final details, I'm painting all of the spots black. And I really like how this finishes it off and brings everything together. For the spots on the chest, because they are up against a very light color, I made them dark green instead of black. And now it's time to paint the horns. I decided to paint them dark brown. I didn't want them to be a completely different color than the rest of it for some reason. I wanted it all to sort of blend together. So I'm starting with a dark brown base color, drying it in between coats, and then working my way up to a lighter brown to highlight all of the raised areas on them. Now I'm going in with some very dark brown that's been watered down to finish off all the detail areas and just add some shading. And then for the final step, to really finish this off, I am adding a nice coat of some color shift purple. This really makes the paint color pop. You'd never think adding purple to this dark green would work, but it really does. The exact color is called Purple Flash, and it is made by Folk Art. I watered down the first coat of this, but I end up working my way up to just pure paint because I really am liking how this is looking. So I go crazy with it, and it works out. Now the final step is to remove all of the dried paint from the glass eyes, and I'm just using a toothpick here to scrape all of it off and polish them. And it's done! I finished NERDECRAFTER's creature. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. That's a wrap. Really hope you enjoyed this video and you like my sculpture. I'm really happy with how it came out. This was such a fun challenge. Thank you so much, Jackie, for working with me on this and putting up with all my questions. This was such a cool experience and I had so much fun doing it. I can't wait to see what else you have in store. Again, if you don't already, be sure to subscribe to NERDECRAFTER's YouTube channel and check out her video, Sculpting, my description. I will link everything down below. And then thank you to all of you who submitted artwork for this video. I'm seriously blown away by the amount of talent you all have. And then of course, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Ace of Clay. And now stick around to see all of the artwork submissions.